Welcome back to Jack Says Homestuck. My name is Jackie, aka Jax, and today we are talking with Arrow about Intermission 1.
Hi, I'm Arrow, also known as Arrowmancery, semi-popular internet funny man. I go by any pronouns, really. I'm not picky. And I like the felt.
Yes, yeah. So you provided some of the information for Becca's video that she had for SockCon. So I'm like, oh, well, I got a felt expert. Now I know who I'm going to have on my Intermission episode.
Just love those gay frog boys.
Yeah. So as usual, we're gonna kind of have a pre-spoilers and post-spoilers episode. Maybe one day I'll actually get on giving you the timestamps. That's actually on my list of things to do, so you'll be able to look down and see if you want to jump to the spoilers or avoid the spoilers or whatever. The Intermission, were you around Homestuck around the time Intermission came out, or were you kind of later?
Oh god, no, I joined the fandom after Act 7 dropped.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So neither of us really know what it was like whenever it first aired, because I didn't get in until like mid Act 6. But I know from talking to people that Intermission 1 is kind of like, what's going on with these guys? What happened to like the people we were just like reading about? And I know it confuses a lot of people, and some people even skip it.
Those people are wrong.
Yeah. Skipping any part of Homestuck is a sin. Like the people who skipped Act 5 or skip Intermission. I'll be honest, the first time I read Homestuck, I did skim it a lot more than I should have. But people don't realize that, like, this is important information as well as a good time.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what Hussey will decide to make retroactively important next.
Right? Yeah, you never know what his plans are. But
remember that time he made Will Cal the most important character in Homestuck?
Oh my god, right? Like, oh, there's this creepy little doll, whatever. No. Not whatever. Yeah. That's Hussey and that's Homestuck for you. But I remember reading through it, and the time shenanigans in this are one of the great parts about Intermission and Homestuck as a whole, but also just the most confusing thing, especially because it's like our first introduction to time shenanigans, really.
I think Hussey mentions in the commentary that it basically serves as an introductory way to introduce the time shenanigans of later Homestuck.
Yeah, because there's definitely a lot more, but this was really like almost every single one of the characters has some time power or like moves throughout time.
I mean, yeah, the Felt are all time travelers. That's their thing.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. We have like the alternate universes and everything else. So let's start off by saying, what is your favorite part of Intermission 1?
Oh god, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
Probably something to do with cans. Either punching Droog into next week or punching Hearts boxcars into the next calendar year.
Yes, those are both
such a wonderful gag, and yet brought back wonderfully. What is it, Collide, or which animation is that? I don't remember.
I can never remember the animation names, but
it's just the way that's brought back, where he punches them out of the frame of the goddamn animation. That's just wonderful.
It's fantastic. Hussey plays around with the medium so well.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that Hussey does very well. Painting, just playing with the medium.
Yeah, I mean, that's like one of the defining characteristics of Homestuck, and definitely does it in this. I kind of like the simple things, like just the constant countdown of how many clocks had been destroyed.
You mean clock saved?
Oh, yes. And then Dai's whole thing with the he pulls out Spade Slick pin, and like there's nothing. It's just like a desert.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like that concept.
I just remembered my other favorite part is just like how the narration works. Like you stop not being Hearts boxcars or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like just the way it is. Like Isn't this the part where Hussey introduces the word you clearly remember understooding or something like that?
Yes, yeah.
Just the way the narration handles all the time shenanigans. Like, understooding's not a word. It shouldn't make sense, but it somehow makes sense in the context.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it really introduces it. It's just it's so Homestuck, and I think people are really missing out. I know whenever I first saw it, I thought like, oh, this is just like a problematic sleuth thing.
Problematic sleuth.
Yeah, sorry, I just you know what I mean. Problematic sleuth.
I'm writing a call-out post for Mobster Kingpin.
Yes. I've been on Twitter too long. I've been in the discourse too much. Problematic sleuth.
I mean, it is probably a good time to actually mention that the Midnight Group started off as Problem Sleuth donation characters.
Yeah, yeah. So I was vaguely aware of that. I haven't read Problem Sleuth.
Oh my God! You have to read Problem Sleuth. It's great.
Yeah, it's on my long list of Homestuck stuff I need to read or reread. So I gotta get down to it. But yeah, so I just was vaguely aware of it, and then I saw like the characters, and I'm like, oh well, this is just like remember Problem Sleuth.
Mm-hmm. Hussey actually mentions in the commentary also that Hussey mentions in the commentary he originally planned to have a Midnight Crew adventure running alongside Homestuck, and then realized that would be a lot of work.
Yeah.
And he just didn't let that stuff go to waste.
Nice. And yeah, it becomes super, super important to the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I can talk about without giving away spoilers for the spoiler section. So what I didn't understand at first was all the pool references, like how Snowman can't be killed and all this other stuff. Because I don't play pool.
I don't either, but I looked it up earlier today, and in 8-ball pool, which is the most commonly played type of pool in America, if you sink the pool ball before you've either finished sinking all your striped balls or all your solid balls, then you lose the game.
Yeah. So, yeah, kill Snowman and the universe is destroyed, basically.
Unless you scratch, I think that's a rule.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I just don't know pool.
I don't either.
Yeah, that's another thing about Homestuck is like he'll just I mean, I guess that's a lot of media too, is like they just put in references to stuff that you just don't understand. Like I feel if I knew old comedians more about programming and more about pool, I would like get a lot more jokes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into spoilers because there's so much that's interesting about Intermission. That's spoilers. Like, remember when Lord English was just some guy vaguely mentioned at the beginning of Intermission?
Yeah, no. Spades just bursts into the mansion on page 1155 and talks about how much he wants to kill Lord English.
Yeah, and you're like, whatever, who's Lord English? That doesn't matter. That's just like all these other characters that are just randomly here.
Yep, I'm sure he's not going to be relevant to the story whatsoever.
Definitely not the secret main bad guy all along.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and there's just so much foreshadowing for everything else. Well, so much that happens in like it doesn't start happening until what, like mid-act 6 or something in Homestuck.
Yeah, I mean, also Carcat shows up at the end.
Yeah, then we get to see Cardcat a little bit, and that's why you really need now. But yeah, so there's so many other interesting things, and like finding out who the Midnight Crew were originally, like the White Queen and Jack Noir and everything like that. There's so many different versions of Jack Noir.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that happens to Jack Noir. There are a lot of them. And
yeah.
they all seem to inherit the same injuries, too. The
Yeah,
missing arm and the injured eye.
that's true. I didn't think
Which,
about that.
yeah, except for Union Jack or Jack English, whatever you want to call him. But Vriska also gets the injured arm and ruined eye. At around the
Yes.
same time, she's trying to be the villain of the story, specifically Tavros's, because he's supposed to be the big hero and all.
Yeah.
So Vriska taking on traits of the villain because she wants to be the villain, yada yada. She's a thief. Let's talking about the Midnight Crew instead.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, so there's just a lot of potential with the Midnight Crew for like all the different stories and with the felt for all the different stories and how they I also like all the different names Caliborn gives them, like they're leprechauns and frogs and God, what else does he call them? Like gnomes or something?
Probably.
Yeah, it's just like every time they show up again, there's something different. Yeah, so who is your favorite felt and who is your favorite Midnight Crew?
Midnight Crew, probably Diamond Stroog.
Mm-hmm.
And the felt? Stitch, I guess. I'd say Matchsticks, but Matchsticks doesn't really have a character.
Yeah.
He does in
Yeah.
the inaugural death of Mr. Seven, but that's extra canon.
That's true. Yeah.
And Crowbar's pretty good too.
Yeah, because the inaugural death of Mr. Seven really got me liking Crowbar, but I think before reading that, I also really like Stitch.
No, Crowbar's so good that even Caliborn likes him.
Yeah. Yeah, Crowbar's good. Stitch just has a really interesting part to play with like fixing things up. Like whether it's your sprite or the fabric of reality or whatever.
I mean, Stitch in Time saves 9 and all that.
Yeah. And then I just love Spade Slick. So
yeah, Spades is good.
Yeah. I mean they're all good in their different ways, but Spades is I just love an angry stabby boy.
Mm-hmm.
So are there a lot of Problem Sleuth references? I mean, I'm sure there are in Intermission.
Problem Sleuth references? I actually don't think so. There's some jokes about weapon object duality, which all the Midnight Crew members have with their playing cards.
Yeah.
And their, but other than that, I don't think so.
Gotcha.
But the narrative itself is just more problem sleuthy.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember reading that introducing any sort of dialogue was kind of a new thing whenever he was doing Homestuck. Like any actual like the characters talking to each other.
Yeah,
with,
just the Pesterlogs and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's I mean that's just another really interesting narrative. I mean the narrative with Homestuck entirely is just interesting because it's all these different types and you never know who the narrator quite is, but you don't think about it until it makes you think about it.
Yeah. I think at this point it's still Hussey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't stop being Hussey until Act 5, Act 2.
Yeah. Yeah, that tracks. Honestly, I forget so much about Homestuck no matter how many times I read it. Because a lot happens.
Mm-hmm.
And
very big. A lot of
yes. Words. Lots of words. Over 1 million now. If you had any of the Felt's powers, which one would you choose?
Probably go with Clover.
Yeah, just being super lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than, say, biscuits.
Yes. Yeah.
What about you?
Biscuits, you get a non-working oven. Me, just trying to think about it, because yeah, Clover's is definitely, I feel like one of the best, even though Karkat does manage to time up at the end there. But maybe I kind of like Finn's.
Yeah, Finn's is pretty cool, seeing where people are going to be.
Yeah.
Probably useful.
Yeah. I don't know. That seems interesting. I mean, they're all interesting in their different ways. Maybe if I could like, have cans and just punch someone into next week and just like, I'm not going to deal with you now. See, that would also be helpful on occasion. Though I'd have to be very violent about it.
Yep.
So what was your first impression to the Intermission? Did you read Problem Sleuth and then read Homestuck, or did you read
No,
Homestuck
I read
first?
Homestuck first.
Gotcha. So yeah, so what did you think when you saw these new strange characters?
I mean, I had already gotten some, experience with that with the Wayward Vagabonds stuff.
That's
So I
true.
figured it was just more like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember my exact impressions, but I remember liking it, and that's for sure.
Yeah. Yes. So much now you are the resident Felt and Midnight Crew expert. But yeah, were there any parts of the of Intermission 1 you specifically wanted to talk about?
I've got parts of Intermission 1 that I wanted to talk about.
Or even just like the Felt and the Midnight Crew in general, since it'll be a while till we get to them again.
I mean, I think we have to mention the bull penis can.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that kept coming back.
Yep. And also the incredible line, out of the way, you have a hat full of bomb, a fistful of penis, and a head full of empty.
I mean, yeah, life goals.
Yep. Club's Juice is responsible for a lot of memorable moments, honestly.
Yeah, he's so great. And I love that in between his like just kind of doing whatever he wants and like generally being like kind of nice in general. Then we have the moment where he just like does do the helpful, well, not helpful, the competent thing and like blows up. It was it Itchy and Doze?
No, I think it was either Finn or Trace.
Oh yeah, that's right, because they followed
Itchy
him
got
back
his
there.
skull bashed in by a cast iron horse stitcher.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, and it's like you just go back to them and it's like, oh well, obviously he did Club Deuce did a bad job of like keeping them tied up and everything. It's like, no, he left a bomb there and they're exploded now.
Also got a waffle, he just carries a Stretch Armstrong doll with him.
Yeah. Yes.
For no apparent reason.
Just to have one. Do you need a reason to have a Stretch Armstrong doll?
I guess not.
Yeah. Oh man, which reminds me of their various smut.
Oh yeah. Each member of the Midnight Crew has their own smut.
Yeah, whether it's hearts or terriers.
So I think Spade Slick has this Terrier magazine.
Yeah.
Hearts Boxcars has Red Cheeks magazine.
Yes.
Which there's a great pun in there, which I'm looking for right now.
Is it the one where he beats it to the magazine
Yes.
every day? Yes.
I forget what Club's Deuce has.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, those two were the ones that really stick out to me.
And I do know that Diamond's Droog has Grey Ladies.
Oh,
which
yes,
is actual porn.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah, Hearts Boxcars really gets me all the time. And then he makes a mistake of having it out around eggs and biscuits, and it just multiplies.
Time travel with the smut.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Hussey's commentary for pages 1,306 to 1,308 is just, note that in any given eggs and biscuits mob, there always seems to be a few making an earnest plea for everyone to just chill out and read this dirty magazine.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, I love how they all have their smut. They all have their candy.
Mhm.
Um, which I think they describe Swedish fish as being licorice. Is Swedish fish licorice?
I think they come in licorice,
Oh, I didn't know that.
probably.
I don't know. Candy knowledge has been expanded, which is very important for me.
Of course.
um, yeah, because we have Swedish fish, um, gummy bears, right?
Yeah, Swedish fish, gummy bears, wax lips, and Scotty dogs.
Gotcha. Yeah,
No,
wax
the
lip is
Swedish
what is.
fish are red. They're done streaks.
Yeah, I thought he said it was licorice though.
I have no clue.
Huh.
Oh, one thing I do want to mention is Snowman's introduction.
Yep.
Is okay. So the way the narrative builds up Snowman is we don't see her picture in the Vendetta list,
Yeah.
and all we know is that Spade Slick can't kill her.
Yes.
So when she teleports in the middle of the battle, and we see that she's a Carapacian like he is, we think, "Oh, what happened here?" And
Yeah.
then she just stabs his eye out, and we learn that if you kill her, the universe explodes.
Yes. Snowman is so great.
Yeah, no, Snowman's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Just like casually, like, oh, there you are. Stab. And then later whips his arm off, right?
I believe she whips it and then shoots it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she shoots it off, grabs it with the whip, and tears it off.
Oh, yeah.
Also, her whip is named after a real life porn mag.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Of course it is.
it's called Black Inches.
Black Inches, yes. Of course, that's a real life porn mag. Yeah. What's the quote there? Black Inches is known for giving
Snowman's
people
black
red
inches,
cheeks.
no doubt, have been responsible for more than a few red cheeks.
Yes. Yeah. There's so many things to say about that.
Yeah, there really are.
um yeah, so we just get, so I think it just continues the tradition of the first part of Homestuck really being an introduction to all that is Homestuck. You know, like you were saying about how it's an introduction to time shenanigans. We have all these characters that are going to become a lot more relevant later, and
Also, like
yeah,
our first real introduction to a Jack Noir, isn't it?
yes, yeah, I think it is because I don't think um we get the other one until
Like we see Jack in Act 3, but I think we only learn his name in Act 4.
I think so. I think so. So yeah. Yeah, so it's just it sets up a lot that we don't realize it sets up, which I think is a lot of early Homestuck.
I mean, definitely.
Yeah. It's so great as seeming like just silly shenanigans or whatever. And it's like, no, this is important, trust me.
Yeah, eventually Spade just becomes leader of the Felt and takes them all to fight Jake English.
Yes. You know, Jake did surprisingly well considering all that went on in Intermission 1.
I mean, if Intermission 1 told us anything, it's that the Felt are basically incompetent.
That's true.
Yeah, no, they're the only thing that keeps them going is a combination between Crowbar and Stitch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. But yeah, so what do you think drew you to the Felt and the Midnight Crew?
Honestly, I think it's just that they were a group of characters that a lot of people just didn't talk about that much.
Yeah.
And call it the hipster in me. I like that sort of stuff.
That's fair. I mean, yeah. I mean, there are a bunch of interesting characters. We just get too focused on other stuff. I I think just because we get too caught up in like shipping and stuff like that, or I don't know.
Oh God, we didn't even talk about Leprechaun romance.
Leprechaun romance. Yeah, I just started thinking about that. So, what are your thoughts on Leprechaun romance?
I don't have any thoughts on
You
Leprechaun
don't have
romance.
any.
You're not supposed to have thoughts on Leprechaun romance.
Oh, I don't know.
All you're supposed to know is that Clover is a horny bastard.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, doesn't he end up getting like several crushes on Carcat when he gets defeated?
Yeah, and also whenever you see Clover dancing, he's basically flirting.
That's fantastic. Just more reasons to love Clover.
Yeah.
There's just so much what am I saying? Like so much that could be delved into that's just not even just with like the romance, but with like them in general, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, that's also partially why I like the inaugural death of Mr. Seven so much, is that it delves into the felt. We actually get to
Yes.
see them, like, being the felt.
Yeah. Yeah. It really adds a lot of character to them. It's very good.
We
Definitely
actually see Matt Sticks and his obsession with fire safety.
yes.
Dyeing his chickens.
Yeah. I liked Itchy being a smartass.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely, if you haven't read that, I recommend anyone who's listening to go read that. I'll link it below. Yeah. So Intermission is a lot shorter than anything else I've covered on here. Did you have anything you wanted to say about Intermission or about the felt?
anything else. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I could say, but nothing jumps out in particular, I don't think.
For sure. Well, I mean, there'll be chances to talk about him again later. I'm always here if you ever want to talk, or when we get deeper into Act 6. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much basically it for Intermission. Definitely don't skip it. Don't make the mistake others have made. Don't skim it like I did. It is worth a read, and I kind of want to read it again just so I can understand more of what's going on. But yeah, did you have anything you wanted to plug? Your Twitter or any projects you're working on?
My Twitter is @aromancery, and basically anything I'll do, I'll post there. So just follow that if you want updates from me.
Okay, sounds great. Well, thank you so much for coming on and being our felt expert.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And just before I forget, thank you to my patron, Kansas Just Got Gayer, for being the regular tier patron. And please check out all the links below to find Arrow and to find more information about Jax's Homestuck. And I will see you guys next week.